Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto. Thanks for joining me once again today. I'd like to start by thanking everyone that joined me in the webinar for how to buy the Bitcoin bottom. If you guys missed that, we went over how to identify bottoming signals, went over some buying strategies, what to do if you missed the bottom. It was a really good webinar. Ended up being about just under 2 hours long and plenty of great feedback. Looks like everyone loved it, and I'd just like to thank you guys. We did have some technical glitches, and I do want to thank you guys for your patience in waiting through those. I really do appreciate that. Let's get right to Bitcoin, however. Not really much to say today. I'm going to do this update video, however. One thing I do want to note is that we've been consolidating here ever since the breakdown of this trend line right here, and this consolidation looks like it may be coming to an end fairly shortly. Looks like the buyers and sellers have both exhausted themselves, and we probably will be expecting a move shortly. I can't say exactly when. Maybe overnight tonight, maybe tomorrow. But it looks like we will be getting some kind of movement. Now, even if the movement goes up or down, we could probably pause after that and maybe put some more sideways action in. But we'll have to wait and see what happens then. But it does look like the movement here is exhausting itself relatively quickly. If we take a wider look at Bitcoin, we're going to see that our most recent low is probably going to be the next on the chopping block. All right, we have this low down here towards the 5,900 level. We're not too far from there right now. If we zoom in here, what we're going to see here is basically, if you take a measured move from this breakdown point, we're going to take this right down to that level. Looks like we're going to spike beneath it just a little bit there. So, I mean, this is just the measured move on this breakdown. This is the smallest type of measurement you can take on this. Now, at the same point in time, we also have this head and shoulders pattern here. This one actually played out already. This one actually already played out. As you can see there, we had a parallel trend line there forming the head and shoulders. This one hit quite nicely. Okay, this one hit quite nicely there. And if you notice this, the bottom of this trend line is kind of putting in the top here for this action. So at this point in time, Bitcoin is stair-stepping lower, which is perfectly normal in a bear market. Perfectly normal in a bear market. If you took the market cycles webinar, you kind of understand this action, right? We talk about, the upward direction, the downward direction, and the choppy direction. We talk about some stair stepping. We talk about a lot of things. So right now we're stair stepping lower, and you can anticipate this kind of low down here towards the 5,900 level to be our next destination to the downside. Now, if we take a look at some of the other Litecoins in the market, or other altcoins in the market, like Litecoin is what I was going to say. Litecoin and Ethereum both, and we'll probably look at Ripple as well, looking very bearish here. I'm not at all happy with any of this action. So as Litecoin's been coming down, every time it has a low, it has a nice bounce associated with it, right? So we have a little spike low here, then we bounce up and we roll over, and then we sell off again, we spike down, we come all the way up and we roll over. Okay, then we spike down again, we bounce up and roll over, and then we spike down again, but we're just going flat here. So either we haven't had the spike low yet to cause one of these bounces, or this volume here does look like a spike low volume, but we just don't have a bounce. You see this nice green candle next to it, and this is a daily chart, keep in mind. This is a daily chart. We see this nice green candle fail to go anywhere. Most of these bounces, in fact, all these bounces go over the bottom candle high. So right there, right there, right there. This is the bottom candle right here, or even if you call this the bottom candle, neither have been eclipsed so far. Neither have been eclipsed, and this is a couple days later. So this is not good action. To be quite honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't be buying any bounces. I wouldn't be buying anything down here. These are the bounces you want to buy, the ones that do have some progression to the upside. This is just all bearishness right here. This is all bearishness, and this is, just what we talked about in the webinar today. We talked about like the legs to the downside. We talked about like legs 1, 2, 3. It's looking like we may start putting in those legs if we continue with this extraordinarily weak action. We're going to have to get some bounces to negate some of this, otherwise we may start free falling here pretty soon. Ethereum looks exactly the same as Litecoin in terms of the anemic action. A little bit worse, however, we've already seen several legs to the downside. This is really stair-stepping lower, and I don't really have to draw trend lines for you. You guys can see there's a measured move type of effect, right? It's literally looking like stairs, and we're just continuing lower. And 394, well below the 420 level of the previous high in Ethereum. Very weak action here. If you run if you run the figures on these two top altcoins against the Bitcoin figures, we're anticipating, at least a 50% drop in Bitcoin, maybe a little bit more. In that case, you can actually experience a slightly higher drop in Ethereum. So let's just call this 200 Ethereum. We can expect 200 to sub 200 Ethereum down there towards the bottom. And with Litecoin as well, as you can see, we're sitting at 116. So we could expect a, $50 to $55 Litecoin, somewhere between $50 and $60 may be our ultimate low target. And guys, if we get down to this level in Litecoin, I think this could be a great place to hold some Litecoin and some Bitcoin and some Ethereum. Like I said in my last video, guys, do you know and are you ready to buy the bottom? Because when we get there, it's going to be the fire sale of a lifetime. It's going to be something else. So you guys have your plans ready. Just have those plans ready. And if you don't know what to do, guys, the webinar was really good. Okay, I'm not saying that just to try to sell it to you. It was really good. Ask some of the guys in the chat if you don't believe me. Ask some comments if they say they took the webinar. Ask what they thought. I think it's really good content. And when we get down there, I don't want you guys to be scared. Okay, I want you to. This is an opportunity. I want you to take advantage of it. And I'm pretty excited about that opportunity, to be honest with you. So I'm making my plans right now. But before we get down there, we do have some work to do. We have some stair stepping to go. We may actually even get another little spike low and a bounce up. We were doing some analysis. One of my chat room participants named Spike Tyson did some really good analysis and challenged my analysis, as a matter of fact. And what he pointed out was the 2013, there was actually another spike low in between this breakdown in the charts here and the ultimate low. So he said there was another spike low, and if you look at 2013, he's actually correct. And I'm going to do some further analysis, and I'll probably have an update on that for you in the next couple of days. But for now, I would anticipate the next move to be to the downside. It's imminent at this point from my perspective. It's pretty imminent right now. Doesn't mean you take a short position here. I don't want to get into specific trading strategies. This is just kind of talk about market action. But with the volume declining so deep and the price action coming to a point here, is going to lead to a head in one direction or another. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me again today. I appreciate all you guys joining the webinar today. And hey, guess what? I'll see you next time. Have a good night.